Welcome to the Complete Performance Exercise Breakdown video series, where we use these videos to break down different exercises, to give you the tips and techniques to make your exercises better, to make your technique better, so that you get more out of them, to get more out of your training, and to get more results. So today we're breaking down crunches. And I'll be upfront and honest, crunches aren't an exercise that I typically enter into programs for my clients. They're not an exercise that I particularly love as a core exercise. I think there are different exercises that you can get more from and kind of get more bang for your buck. But here's the thing, crunches are an exercise that everyone knows, and they're simple to do. So a lot of people do that. So if I can teach you the right technique, how to get more out of your crunches, I'm gonna help you build and strengthen that core like you're hoping to. Get some of that aesthetic look that you're hoping to achieve, and then hopefully lead you into better, more advanced core exercises. So let's talk about the crunches first. Crunches primarily work your rectus abdominis, which is the area of the core right down the middle. It's the one where we all think about, the six pack. So what do they do for you besides that? Well, they add a little benefit to the pelvic floor muscles. They may touch on that transverse abdominis, but it's primarily a one muscle focus, which is why I prefer some other exercises, because they work the entire core versus one section. Let's go to the technique. There are plenty of variations of crunches, but the one I'm going to talk about are the one where your feet are on the floor, or maybe they're even up at 90 degrees here. Two very similar. Your hip flexors are in that same position. Now, head's on the floor. I'm going to bring my hands behind my head, resting my head ever so slightly into my fingertips. My elbows are out nice and wide so I cannot see them out of my peripheral vision. And I'm going to imagine that somebody is pulling on my nose up toward the ceiling, and I'm going to bring my head toward the ceiling. That engages the core, and I'm going to slowly lower back down to the floor. Then pull up again. Now, it seems simple enough, yet you've seen somebody at the gym whose crunches look nothing like that. So let's talk about some of the common mistakes. The first one is pulling on the head. Now, I mentioned resting the head in your fingertips and opening up the chest so that you cannot see the outsides of your elbows. Yet, so many people pull on their head like this. Well, not only does that take away the use of your core, it engages your chest, which isn't part of your core, and it strains that neck. So we want to keep the focus in that section of the core. Rest your head into your hands. Open up those elbows, because that takes away the ability to activate and use those chest muscles. The next most common mistake is curling toward our knees or toward our hips. Like I said, you want to think that somebody's pulling on your nose up toward the ceiling. Yes, this does give you a really heavy burn in your core, but that's likely in your chest and your upper back. We want to keep that burn top to bottom of that rectus abdominis. So think, pull up toward the ceiling and lower back down. And I guarantee that's going to burn from top to bottom here. The last most common mistake is rushing, trying to go for quantity over quality. If you really want to get the most out of your crunches, slow them down. Really think about engaging the proper muscles, squeezing the core. So what you might want to think about is going up to the top, hold 1, 2, back down. And 1, 2, and back down. That's going to give that core some of that isometric contraction that we use when we stand, when we sit, as part of our postural abilities. Let's review the technique one more time. Lying on the floor, feet on the floor, head resting in our hands, elbows wide so we take out that chest. Pull the nose up toward the ceiling, slowly lower back down. Back up toward the ceiling, hold for a second or two, and slowly lower back down. Crunches may not be my favorite exercise, but they're one that you're going to do. They're one that's going to be a part of your core regimen. And that's okay. Build the strength in that rectus abdominis. Get the look that you're hoping for, or at least make strides in getting there. Then let's talk about some exercises that you can apply to your core to get even more benefits. We'll look for more videos in the exercise breakdown series, focusing on that core, focusing on those strength and aesthetic gains that you're hoping to get.